Hello everyone, welcome back to Project Mastery Podcast. We'll be covering conflict resolution in today's episode. Conflict is inevitable in a project. Let's say as a project manager, you're executing the project activities. You're dealing with people. You're dealing with resources. People from different diverse backgrounds. People with differing priorities. Stakeholder expectations are different. You need to handle the pressure. Conflict is bound to happen in a project. In an organization where people come and work together, conflict is definitely going to happen. Conflict is not bad. It gives you an opportunity for an improvement. As a project manager, you should have the professional responsibility of resolving conflicts in the interest of the project. You will have to get to the root cause of the conflict. Conflict is better resolved by the people who are directly involved. Understand this. There are two team members who are conflicting over a technical issue. And how do you resolve them? The best option is to have the conflict resolved with the people who are directly involved, and you will need to facilitate the resolution meetings. We need to understand that when people work together, their culture is different. They've got different diverse backgrounds. The way they view the world is different. Their assumptions are different. Their convictions are different. There is going to be ego, belief clash, values are going to be different. Whenever conflict happens, you first need to observe the issue, observe the situation, get more clarity on the issue on hand, get a clear view on the issue on hand, and then you find out the root cause. You have to objectively assess the conflict severity. What is the level of conflict? Pay utmost attention to the language that's being used. Teams must be given opportunity to resolve conflict themselves. You are going to separate facts from emotions, leave out the bias, enable the team in going forward despite differences in some situation. You should always focus on the project goal. Why does a conflict arise? The conflict can arise because of project priorities. Conflict can arise because of unrealistic schedules. Conflict can also arise because of difference in technical opinions. Personality conflicts are also present in an organization. Cost could also be a driver for conflicts. There are 5 conflict resolution techniques that everyone should be aware of. As a project manager, you must choose the right approach depending on the situation, urgency, and importance of relationships. Let's talk about the first one, which is called collaborating. Collaborating is also termed as problem solving. It's a win-win solution. In this strategy, both parties work together openly to resolve the root cause of the conflict. Both the parties are happy in the end. They are satisfied. Both the parties openly discuss the differences, incorporate each other's viewpoints. The parties arrive at a consensus. When do you use collaborating? You use this strategy when there is a critical issue and long-term relationships matter, and there is enough time to explore solutions. During this situation, collaborating strategy is very useful. This is the most effective technique. Though it is time consuming, it creates commitment and shared ownership. Let's take an example. You want to purchase a new solution from one vendor and another party says existing solution is enough. What you can do is you are going to suggest doing a proof of concept or prototype to test the solution, to test the existing solution to see if it meets the specific requirements. This will determine if the existing solution needs to be replaced. By doing this experiment, you are convincing both the parties. Another example is you want to respect everyone's thought. Let us see what everyone thinks and we can try to reach a consensus. This is one of the response where you are trying to collaborate. So what you are doing here as a project manager, you are listing the decision criteria, you are testing a spike, you are picking the option that best meets the shared goals. Moving on to the next one, which is called compromising. Compromising, also called reconciling. This is a strategy where you find middle ground. Each party is going to give up something to reach a mutually acceptable solution. It's a give and take approach where each side concedes something. Some degree of satisfaction is given for both the parties. No party gets everything. This is often a lose-lose situation because no one gets everything they want, but it helps move forward quickly. When do you use this strategy? When you want to take quick decision, when the time is extremely limited, or when both the parties are having equal power, then you can take up this compromising strategy. Let's take an example here. You can have a response like, let us do a little of what both of you suggest. This is an example of a response when you want to use the compromise strategy. You want to buy a new software and the other person wants to use an existing software. Can we buy the new software for activity 1 or this project? Can we buy the new software for activity 1 on the critical path? And we can use the existing software to complete activity 2 for the project. In this way, both the solutions recommended are used and both are going to be satisfied to some extent. It is not that you're going with solution 1 which would have made the party happy, or it is not that you're going with existing solution which would make the other party happy. We're making sure that both the solutions are being used partially, which is going to give them some degree of satisfaction. We'll move on to the next strategy, which is called withdrawing. Withdrawing means you are avoiding the conflict. One party is going to step away from the issue instead of addressing it. Parties postpone their decision on a problem. This is not the best choice, but it is going to work under exception situation. When do you use them? You use them when a conflict is so trivial, but when the emotions are extremely high, or a resolution is not immediately possible. It is useful in the short term, but not sustainable. Underlying problems may resurface later, especially with this strategy. Let's take an example here. Let us deal with this conflict or issue after 2 weeks. We cannot take a decision now. We will have to wait for next 2 months till the critical meeting is completed. This is not critical for today's release. Let's park it for tomorrow. Let's decide tomorrow with data. All these responses are examples of employing withdrawal strategy. We are moving on to the next strategy, which is called smoothing. Smoothing is also called accommodating, where you emphasize agreement. Focus is on common ground while downplaying differences. You use them when you want to maintain harmony. Maintaining harmony is more important than resolving every detail. In that situation, you can use smoothing. This builds goodwill temporarily, but it is not going to resolve the root cause of the conflict. Example, let's cool down and get the job done. Let's calm down and get the job done. I'm sure we can come to an agreement on whether to purchase the solution in the interest of the project. What works best for the project, we will do it. Let's take up another example. A sponsor is upset about a demo glitch. You are using the smoothing strategy. You acknowledge the frustration, emphasize the overall progress, and propose a focused bug fix plan before the next demo. As a project manager, you're going to respond saying, you are right, the glitch hurts the flow. The rest of the functionality meets the goals. You will patch this by Friday and retest. Moving on to the next strategy, which is called forcing. Forcing is also called directing, where you use formal authority. One party pushes their viewpoint at the expense of others. This is a win-lose situation. One party wins, other party loses. When do you use this strategy? You use them when the decisions are urgent, safety is at stake, or authority must be asserted. As a project manager, you will have to be very fast and decisive, but there are risks that relationships can get damaged, hence this should be used sparingly. Example, do it my way, just listen to me. We have spoken enough about this. Let us go with the decision of buying the new solution from the vendor. Another example, a 0-day security patch must be applied. Despite objections, you mandate a release freeze and patch within 24 hours per policy. You are going to respond saying, per our security policy, we are patching now. I will handle communications and rollback plans. Please execute. We have understood what are the strategies related to conflict resolution. When you deal with a conflict, there are different levels of conflict that you will reach. You may need to construct a collaborative scenario, build consensus around a decision that everyone can support. In some cases, you need to empower the relevant team to solve the problem. This will restore the sense of safety for the group. This will also improve their maturity and confidence. When the parties start accusing each other, you need to accommodate people's different views. You should be diplomatic. When communications are completely down between parties, you may need to act as a facilitator. You should take up the crusade approach. Sometimes conflict will become unresolved. You will not be able to solve it. In that case, you should start thinking about, how do I figure out, how can we provide people the ways to live with? You should enable them to accept the conflict and go forward. Just a quick recap of how quickly we can choose a strategy based on what we spoke. You can see on the screen that we spoke about collaboration strategy, which will be used when you want to resolve a critical issue and there is time available to explore the solution. Compromise strategy can be used when the issue is a medium issue and the time is limited. Very high emotions are involved. It's a low priority, trivial issue. You can go with withdraw strategy. You want to take a very quick decision. It's a crisis scenario. You can use the force strategy. You want to calm things and you want to keep the momentum going. This is where you use the smooth strategy. In reality, project managers use a mix depending on urgency, power dynamics, stakeholder engagement. We all know that conflict is inevitable, but there are certain things that you can avoid. There are certain actions that you can perform to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Conflict should not be arising out of your own action. We have to consistently perform certain actions like keep the team always updated on how the project is progressing. Is the project heading the right direction? Keep the team informed on key decisions that are taking place in a project. Give them clarity, transparency on the roles and responsibilities. You should always create a safe, secure environment. Explain to the team what the project structure is all about. There should be zero overlapping responsibilities. There should be zero wrong work assignments, meaning you need to assign the right work to the right person with the right skill and ensure that the roles and responsibilities are clearly defined and there is clarity of work for every individual in the team. When you do these actions consistently, conflicts may not arise out of these factors. You can focus on the most inevitable conflict and pick up the strategy based on the current situation. That's an exam tip for those of you who are trying to perform PMP exam. If the question asks for the best long-term solution, then what is going to be the answer? The answer is always going to be collaborating. We have come to the end of this episode. Hope the knowledge was valuable. Thank you for tuning in.